CHEK Podcasts.
Hey, everybody, we're back with Run For It. Mariah, you're here. Are you running with? Yeah.
I'm not running today. Well, no. I already ran today.
Did you? Good stuff. Amazing out there.
What have you been up to, Mariah?
Oh, there's so many things
Well, she's been traveling races and promoting the Victoria Marathon for this fall. She was over in Vancouver. And, she's got her trailer all set up, and she puts on a big show everywhere she goes to promote running, which is great.
Speaking of the Royal Victoria Marathon, there is a community challenge going on next month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
The Participation Challenge,
We'll
funded by the Government of Canada. Only $15 for 4 sessions at Pisey Track. So
that is really good.
Pretty good deal.
Keep that out
Almost
there.
$5 a session. Actually, it's less.
And Sasha, you've got a half triathlon coming up this week.
Yeah, on Sunday.
So it'll be over by the time everybody's listening. So they'll be looking up the results to see how you did.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Ironman Victoria Sunday.
Stay hydrated. One thing I noticed in the last week or so is the smoke. And, we almost could get into environmental conditions and running. But Alberta's had a lot of smoke, and races over there have had to, and Saskatchewan as well, have had to make adjustments to some of their races because of the smoke. I mean, you don't want to be running a 10K a half or a marathon and be smoking 2 packs of cigarettes at the same time, right? So, I mean, I'm not sure if there's a standard, but it's something, whether it's a coach, which is part of our theme today, or the race committee, needs to look at that in the future, unfortunately. So didn't mean to be a downer here, but I just thought I'd bring that up because it is topical because of all the problems we've been having these days and the environment, etc. It's amazing. It comes into our sport, especially if we're outside enjoying the outdoors and everything.
Yeah, it seems like every year now there's a big fire and a lot of smoke.
Oh, it's happening. Yeah.
Well, we had to deal with it a few years ago here,
Yeah, every province or, area is dealing with it different months at a time, but it's starting a bit too much. So, and it's something we just can't run from, so to speak.
Yeah, you can't run for it.
No, that's we thought we'd bring it back in. We've got a major guest today, and this person, and Penelope is here, which is great. He's a father. He's been one of Canada's most outstanding half marathoners, went to the University of Michigan on a scholarship, started on the soccer field back in London, Ontario, with the guidance of Mr. Chris McCready. Chris, you better be listening out there. Mm-hmm. And he's been doing a lot of coaching lately. He's had a lot of support through different coaches over the years himself, from Trent Stellingworth to Win Matrosky. John Brown stepped in, and then he was with UVic with Brent Faulkner as well. So he's he knows coaching through coaches, and he's had some of the best performances over the years. And I'm not even going to get into the world record. Sasha, do you know about his world record?
No, tell me about it.
Well, I think we might leave that for him to tell you about it because it's all about hydration. Anyway, we want to welcome wholeheartedly and with our shoes laced up and running around and getting fitter than ever, Mr. Jim Finlayson from Victoria. Jim.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have you, sir. And so you're coaching right now. How many athletes have you got under your wing?
About 45 at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah, most of those are privates. I have a group that I run on Wednesday evenings, but otherwise everybody I work with is on a private basis.
Yeah, I was thinking I should have got out on the road a week or so ago with a flag and flagging traffic so the runners could do their loops. You've got them doing some fairly serious loops around Oak Bay area, don't you?
Yeah, like we have a 2.5K loop over that area that's we call the Berlin Loop because it's about as flat as you get in Victoria. Oh. And I mean, it seems to be a favorite of the crowd. And
where is it? I've never heard of this loop.
Why
has no one told me about this loop?
It's a secret training loop, Mariah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's on Strava.
It's on Strava. Well, let me go into the magic paradox box of Strava.
So we know it's happened. Yeah, there you go.
It has. Yeah, it's official.
Yeah. But Jim, so you got started running with soccer on the fields in London, Ontario.
Yes.
And then you moved into university, but what was your main event at high school that got you that scholarship? And we've got another educated, scholarly person, Mariah, here, who went through the same process
I'm
a little bit.
educated too.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't leaving you out of the room, Sasha.
Yeah.
But,
You're not a runner, though, so it doesn't count.
but Jim, what was your main focus,
even back then
distance-wise?
I was still more distance oriented. I in high school raced the 1500 and 3000, but outside of the high school league, I raced 5000, 10,000.
Okay.
So as a junior, I raced the 10,000 the Canadian Junior Champs, and then the Pan Am Juniors that year as well.
So you went from the quick twitch to the
I was always slow twitch.
slower twitcher?
I was always slow twitch, yeah.
But I mean, the times you were running, though, in high
But
school, you had, like, what was that time you ran? Like, in
Yeah,
high
I was
school you were running
30 for
30
10K.
for 10K.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty noticeable.
Um,
I wouldn't even see its back in that sort of a race, right? So that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I think it was probably more the 3K. I mean, with the university scene, it tends to be the second to last year of high school when they start to take notice of you, and so it would have been then that you're starting to have discussions with some of the universities, and
Right.
but then the final year of high school just solidified
Was
that.
Was it hard choosing one university then to go to?
Like in the early days, sorry, my
This is great.
daughter wants water.
Meet Penelope,
I
everybody.
can give
That's
you
great.
a glass
Yeah.
of water.
Auntie
Look
Mariah
at
will give you some
this.
water. That's great.
That's
From one lady to another.
Yeah. We covered all on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started chatting with some of the universities, like there were some good options, but nothing that really spoke to me. And then as soon as I started communicating with University of Michigan, it just really
It clicked.
it just really kind of felt settled in my heart that I like their athletic program. I like their academic program as well. I was going in for engineering initially, but then math. So they were very strong on both those fronts as well.
Right.
So,
And coaching, I guess, would be a...
yeah.
Was Mike
And
McGuire your coach?
he was the women's coach at the time. So I was with Ron Warhurst, and then Mike was always around. And then we also happened to have a lot of other Canadians down there at the same time too. So we had my best friend at the time also went down at the same time. So
Chris?
made it Ian Forsyth.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So it made it really easy to
Feel at home.
And you can drive from London.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Also,
Michigan's not as far as Texas, Mariah. So there you go.
I think you could throw a rock at it.
You could pretty much say.
So you probably went through much the same season that Mariah went through, where you had different seasons chopped up, but you were doing longer distance probably races.
Yeah, so I would do cross country, and then we had indoor track, which I never really took very seriously, and then outdoor track as well. So those are the three main ones.
Right. Yeah.
I always found it challenging to have such highly competitive seasons back to back to back, because NCAA cross country, you got to be super fit to run with the Wolves there, and then you get like a month, and then you're right into indoor track, and indoor track is tough. They only take the top 16. Like if you're not fit, you're not going. And then outdoor track is just like the mecca. It's just, it keeps going up.
Track hurts too much, Sasha.
Yeah, track hurts me every time.
So, I mean, then where did you go after Michigan? I mean, did you get on the highway and come straight to Victoria for some reason?
Nearly. I went home to London for a year, and then came out to Victoria. I actually moved to Vancouver for about a year, and then Victoria. Just happened to take a trip over here on my birthday one year, and I'm like, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, really?
So, so I moved over that fall. So I was here in 98.
Okay.
Sorry, 97?
Giving away
97.
your age,
96. Maybe it was 96.
Giving away your
So
age.
I'm
You should
back talking
lie.
too.
So you are a
so
recent
2016 I arrived.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. As soon as, yeah. Well, that's great. So, and then you've done a bit of work in Victoria, and now you're coaching pretty much full time.
Yeah. That's. I think I split it between dad and coaching right now. But I started working at Front Runners, and I've been with Front Runners like really since, I guess it was 98. I started there.
Yeah.
And I've been there for now half my life.
Which is really,
it turns out.
oh, does it feel like that? I usually don't hire till they're 14.
Yeah.
Anyway, but, Jim, it's really great that, we've got that London connection and, you've been part of the business, as well. And you're such an ambassador when it comes to runners and coaches. And, we have to bring up, this guy today.
Oh, yeah.
Who, just in March set a North America record in the marathon with the help of Coach Jim Finlayson, Cam Levins, 34 from Black Creek, Vancouver Island. Mm-hmm. And he's had quite a time, ran a 2:05:36 to set a North America record. Now, some of us have been friends with the previous Canadian record, which has been broken by Cam as well, 2:09:25 in the Toronto Marathon, Cam doing that a few years back. And that, Jerome Drayton had that record for 43 years, which was phenomenal, 2:10. Wow. And, just to think where an athlete like Cam has come from, as far as from the island, part of the Nike program and the coaching down there, but, decided to do the right thing in the sense that, he was able to get a really qualified coach like Jim Finlayson. And look at different techniques and ways to become, which he still hopes to run Tokyo next year at the Olympics.
Paris.
In Paris, sorry, Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, I was in the wrong country. Yeah, Paris. And, even dropped that 2:05, which is phenomenal for a Canadian marathoner, which we haven't seen happen before, on this level. Jim, how did you first meet Cam?
I was introduced as a coach-athlete relationship through Trent Stellingworth.
Right.
So Cam had initially approached Trent about some coaching, but there was a conflict of interest with Trent's work with Athletics Canada at the time. And so Cam had asked him if he knew anybody else that would be worth maybe exploring as an option. And Trent passed along my name. And we had a good conversation the first time we chatted, and it's just gone from there. So
right.
That was a couple of years ago now.
And he's still living in Portland?
He is,
at this time, most of the time? Yeah. Okay. So you do it by distance, so to speak, but he meets up with you occasionally, I believe?
We haven't seen each other in a while.
Oh, okay.
Way too long. I'm expecting to see him in New York in the fall.
New York? What's going on in New York?
He's going to race the New York Marathon, and
I knew that.
and I need to and I need to be there. I want to.
Yeah,
I've missed
awesome.
too many of his races, so
wow.
I think it's time for me to get there.
Front runners will be happy to get you down there, I think. So, and running's a little different than, say, putting three sports together the way you do, Sasha, I guess, eh?
Yeah, at some point I want to definitely do the marathon quite a bit better than I am now, but I ran 2 so far, so my best is 3:20, and I definitely want to get under that famous 3-hour mark. So
it's a big barrier.
Yeah.
It's a big barrier.
Now, as we speak, Cam is going to Ottawa for their marathon weekend. He's there this weekend. But reading about his training, and this is for the sake of Sasha wanting to build a strong marathon base, tell me how far Cam might do in a week, and how many sessions in a day might he do?
Yeah, so he does a lot of triple days,
wow.
where the triples would be like a 90-minute run, a 70-minute run, and a 60-minute run or something like that. So it breaks down differently week to week, day to day, but that is kind of the essence of it, is like, he's got an hour and a half early, and then, 70 or 80 minutes a little bit later, and then 60 minutes later in the evening.
Oh my God.
With a lot of recovery.
I actually remember first hearing about Cam when he was at Idaho.
Yeah.
And he was doing triples then. But he was counting, like, I remember some crazy story where he was like, running to his classes from his apartment, and then running home, and after he had done his morning workout, and then doing an afternoon session after all of that.
Yeah.
So just kind of like making fitness a part of his everyday life, which is kind of genius, honestly.
Yeah, and which is interesting. I mean, we think back, I had Jerome Drayton here one weekend, and he did a talk on his training, and it was like, well, I'll go out and run 22 miles, every other day sort of thing, right? And it wasn't breaking it down into 3 runs a day,
Yeah.
And Jerome was like working a 12-hour shift at Continental Can off the Kipling near where I lived in Toronto. But, the coaching has changed quite a bit. Like, what do you think of these triples? And did I read 300 kilometers a week?
Yeah, he could be up in that range.
Yeah.
I think it's all area under the curve. Like, the more running that you can do and actually absorb, the better you're going to do. Now, the key with that, obviously, is being able to absorb it. So you have to be able to recover from it and grow stronger from it. Cam is unique in this regard, that he can run that much and actually get stronger under that framework. But yeah, I mean, the more you can do, whether it's as a single run or multiple runs in a day, they all create a similar kind of stimuli and environment for growth and
yeah. So does he have? He has quite a team behind him. I mean, there's a Dr. Goss in Toronto, I believe, and does he have people in Portland for physiotherapy, like just
he has
in between runs?
Physio and a strength coach, and yeah, he definitely has a lot of people that work with him and a lot of resources as well.
Yeah.
Jim, could you tell us one of his staple workouts when you guys are preparing for a marathon, something that you would do much in advance as a indicator workout as to where his fitness is at, so to speak?
Yeah.
Or do you not do those? I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I mean, it's pretty dynamic, the coaching that we have or the work that we have. We certainly do, try to key on some of the main, long marathon specific sessions. And so usually we're doing two different types. One of them is a long progression run that could be anywhere from 35 to 40 kilometers, where you'd start with a few kilometers fairly light, and then get into like 10K at about, say, 20 seconds slower than marathon pace, another 10K at about 10 seconds slower than marathon pace, goal pace, and then another 10K at about marathon pace, and then a couple kilometers easy for cool down would be one of the long, specific sessions. And then other times we'll do, maybe like sort of building up to 5 or 6 times 5K, or some variation of that, getting up to around 30 kilometers, where we're actually targeting marathon pace for that whole time. So we might do something like 5 or 6 times 5K with a kilometer at about, the 5Ks are at marathon pace, and then a kilometer that's about 25 seconds per kilometer slower than marathon pace as recovery. So his recovery is still like 325-ish, 320 to 325 a kilometer, and then his fast segments are 2:58 to 3-minute pace.
Has he got time to eat?
Yeah.
I think he died.
Yeah, and I'll see, like, that's one of the things that I think has changed a lot with marathoning over the last number of years, is just really dialing in the fueling on that. There's been a lot of research on it, and now people are trying to take 320 to 360, sometimes even up to 400 calories an hour during the run, which helps for the latter part of these long runs, but then also I think really facilitates recovery as well.
Right. Is he on a special diet? Is he going vegetarian?
He
or vegan,
eats a lot. No, I mean, I've never gone into the particulars with him.
I see it, I eat it.
We just, and I really don't know the ins and outs of his actual diet. I just know that we're trying to make sure that we get in a lot of calories, and the higher the quality of those, the better.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So Jim, tell us, when Cam is getting ready for a big marathon, is he someone who comes to you and says, Jim, like, what is your advice for me? Or do you guys kind of, the work is done before the marathon, and then he likes to do his own prep before the race?
Yeah, like we'll chat about, like, you're talking about, say, during the race, like, how do we approach the strategy of racing the marathon?
Yeah, exactly.
We will talk about it. He usually has ideas of how he'd like to approach it, depending on what the pace is supposed to go out at, what the weather's looking like, what the course is like, how he's feeling, and then we'll bounce our ideas off each other. So I'll have some as well, and a lot of times we're already pretty aligned with what kind of fitness we think he's in, and what we think he's capable of, and then it's a matter of really kind of figuring out how we're going to do the pacing, which can be tricky. Like in Tokyo, they were supposed to have a group, so where he ran his 205, they were supposed to have a group that was going to go out closer to like 203 pace, which is like a little rich, but yet you don't want to be caught running alone. And then there was another group that happened to be going out at Japanese marathon record pace, which was perfect for Cam, and it ended up being the entire race went out at that pace. And so, but that's probably the trickiest part of it, is just figuring out where to start, because it's very helpful to have other people. I mean, one of the, I think, great lessons from Kipchoge's sub-2 hour marathon attempts and success on one of them was how valuable the pacers are, and getting that draft of, like even at his pace, which is 21 kilometers an hour kind of thing, not having to deal with that wind resistance.
So I guess you'll be looking at who's going to New York and who might be doing pacing, but who might be in the race itself, and then you guys will put a strategy together, even though Cam knows, I guess, what he wants to do, how he wants to pace himself. You guys will work that out.
Yeah, we definitely will. I mean, in New York, like the reason we chose New York is because it's a little bit hillier as majors go, and so there's an opportunity to really race something that's going to be hilly.
Because some of the marathoners don't have a good time on those hills, I hear.
Yeah, well, there's that, and also Paris is going to be incredibly hilly next year, and so this is really all about seeing where our strengths and weaknesses are on hilly courses.
Yeah.
Do you guys do a lot of hill repeat training?
We've done some, not a ton. Like we do a lot of shorter hills. So I know that it's pretty fashionable right now to do sort of Ingebrigtsen style 200-meter hills, and we have done quite a few of those, and we've done up to 3-minute hills. What I'm changing about his easy days now is just getting him on to some hillier for his easy days. So he's just getting used to that change in muscle recruitment and the change in impact position and force. So instead of he used to do a lot of his easy days on flat courses, and now we're just trying to get in hills, because Paris is going to have, I think it's like 550 meters of elevation gain and loss. So that's over twice Victoria's, which is a pretty rolly course to begin with. It's going to be a hilly course.
Well, I really think it'd be nice for him to come to Victoria and jog our marathon, which has got some slight undulations to it. That'd be very nice.
Yes.
But Jim, I should say, Penelope, thanks for bringing your dad. He's a pretty amazing, important Canadian coach and runner. And you chose your parents wisely. That's all I can say about that. And thanks for documenting us with your camera today. We could hear that going through the podcast. And Sasha, we're all going to watch New York. We're all going to be, I think we're going to have a New York Marathon party. And
a watch party.
I think we should.
And,
BYOB.
cheer Cam home, and we'll get Jim down there for that race. That'd be so awesome. Well, thanks again, Jim Finlayson. An honor.
Yeah,
get
thanks
out
so
there
much. Yeah.
And make everybody a more successful runner.
Thank you.
Speed-wise.
Great to see everybody.
Okay, thanks.